Hijra TV, the journey of life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. This is Halal Events. Today we have another role model on the seat, and he is the cool Imam. Imam Kishki is a founder of Al-Islah Center, and he's also the head of Islamic Ummah of Ghana. He has masters in Islamic law and pursuing his PhD as well.
All praise is due to the one and only. He is the master.
This program is powered by Halal Events.
Imam, assalamu alaikum once again.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah ma ba'd. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, and I'm very, very grateful and honored. I was born in Sabon Zongo, Abosoka in Sabon Zongo, in a neighborhood called Kantudu. Kantudu in Hausa means on top of the hill. After being weaned 2 years, I was sent to Accra, Newtown. My maternal, grandparents and grandmother, to be specific. Newtown, if you know Kulikuli in Newtown, at that time, very dangerous place to live, in the sense that Kulikuli was the harbor of drugs. So we grew up, in the midst of weed, cocaine, cigarettes was just a small thing. I quite remember growing up as kids, because of the influx of drugs in the community, we find us, picking canes, going into the toilets, and then also act as if we are smoking. So this is the kind of environment we grew up in. Apart from the drugs, there was this thuggery form of life. There is Akotes Hadinkai thereabout, where it's more of an educational hub concerning Islamic studies, and then there is the Malata market close by, business, and so it was a neighborhood that was mixed up. Everything was in there, so whatever channel or whatever path you wanted to take, it was ready, it was viable for you. So this was the community that we were in. But fortunately for me, grandmom was very, very strict, very, very disciplined. You don't cross the line. She'll whip you, she'll beat you. You'll be forced to go to school. Sometimes we fake illness in the morning, wallahi banda lafiya kana na ciwo, no problem. She'll pack paracetamol into paper and then put it in your bag and then send you to school. On the way, after 5 minutes of walking out of the home, you realize that as for today, you go to school. The sickness vanishes automatically. And then there was this side of Makaranta to Islamic school, where my maternal grandfather was a sheikh. If you know the Green Mosque in Newtown, he used to be the imam. Those of you who know Mal al-Arabu, we grew up, we didn't know him. He died in the, I think, mid-70s or early 80s. So there was this mixture of Islamic studies. We grew up, we saw his books, a whole library of the books were there, and I still even have some of the copies of his books that I use. I attended the youngsters school, and I went to Rashad Islamic School College, and within the same community where we have all these challenges and difficulties, there were people who saw some light, and then they guided us. One example is, we call him Bra Adamu. Uncle Adams, his main aim was educating the young ones in the community. So he initiated an extra classes after normal school hours. So let's say from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that's where we got our extra classes. So we were engaged during the weekdays, Mondays to Fridays. Right after closing from school, you come home, you offer your salad, straightforward, you're pushed to go to Uncle Adamu's classes. I quite remember in 1998, there was Kulkuli 98. There was a football gala at that time. And we were recruited. A very good footballer, those of you who know me. And sometimes the matches are played around 2 p.m. So it was not yet time for classes. So some of us will get to play. And it got to a finale, which was around 5 p.m. And I was supposed to go to classes too. And I was torn between going to classes and I'm going to play the final. And I was the captain of the team. My coach told me, Kishki Yamkuriyo, please, this match is final. If you don't come and play, we will lose. So, okay, fine, I will go. So I left home with my books to go to classes. To deceive the old lady that I was going to classes. I was dressed neatly, nicely, going to classes. But not knowing underneath the dress, there were the jerseys. So I got to the pitch and then the whole pitch was packed full. If you know Kulkuli's packed full, and then they took my books. I don't know where they put the books. And then we went onto the pitch, and then it was a very tough match. We were playing, and then it got to the dying embers of the game. And then I got the ball, went through 2 defenders. I was with the goalkeeper. I was about to shoot to score, and Uncle Adamu was standing behind the goalpost with his cane. I scored, and the whole place was in a jamboree. Hey, they were carrying me up, they were enjoying, I was crying because I knew what was going to happen. So after that, he just held my hands, took me home, washed me. I bathed, and then he carried me to the classroom, and I received my canes.
Clear cut between right and wrong. Halal is known, haram is equally known. Why not engage yourself in that which is right? For your own sake, halal event is what we plan and is what we serve the ummah. Halal event, know the difference.
You know the youngster school, the Nima branch, they say RRC branch, but we say Nima branch. Had from primary to JSS 3 all on the same compound. So it was throughout. At JSS, I wanted to go to Prempeh College.
Okay.
For my senior high school, SSS.
Yes.
At that time, particularly because of Sheikh Tawfiq, may the Almighty Allah, bless his soul, he was in Kumasi. And I wanted to go to Kumasi because of him and also have some Islamic studies. My old man disagreed. The reason being, he said Sheikh Tawfiq will pamper me. I wouldn't get that, toughness. So I chose Adisadal College, Cape Coast. And the old man still didn't agree with Adisadal College. Why? He said at that time Adisadal College had most of the young men we were together in the neighborhood in Adi school, especially my classmates at Makaranta. Funny enough, my classmates at Makaranta were all older than me. I was the youngest in class, I was the shortest in class. If you go out for break, Makaranta, as they walk, I ran behind them. I was the smallest, and most of them were 2 years or 3 years ahead of me when it comes to schools. And my father knew about that, so he said no, he wouldn't allow me to go there because I will get that protection from them, from all the feisty nature of high school, senior high school, and stuff like that. So I was forced to go to St. Augustine's College. I didn't choose St. Augustine's College. I had 07 at BEC. Imam Abu of blessed memory had to trek from his home to St. Augustine's College on a daily basis to convince the headmaster to grant me admission. Alhamdulillah, finally I got admission, but as a day student. What is going to be the solution for that? A young boy coming from Accra, a teenager, and he's going to be a day student in Cape Coast. There comes in Alhaji Elephant, Abubakar Siddiq Agre. If you know of Elephant Ointment, he's at Muri Junction just before you enter Cape Coast. He opened his house for me.
MashaAllah.
He gave me accommodation. I was a day student for first year. My feeding, my clothing, my transportation was with him every day. There was not even a time whereby my father had to send anything to me. Alhaji Elephant will not agree to that. The only thing is from time to time they come and visit me in Cape Coast, and then they give me whatever they want to give me. But then he was my father together with 2 other wives who took care of me in their home. I remember going to school in Ramadan. So agri science, I was in science 5, and when even in first year as a day student, I was an active member of the Muslim community, Augustus Muslim Student Union, and we used to have, quizzes, Islamic quizzes within the Cape Coast metropolis. So there was a quiz one time, and the first one, I got there because I was a day student. I could go to the venue straightforward without going to school. Okay. So my brothers, my schoolmates came there, and then I told them they should let me compete. They said, no way, from one boy, small boy like you. Funny enough, I sat with the disco boys.
Interesting.
But I was not in school uniform. I remember I was in white jalbab and my cap, so I was there. And the questions were being asked. The main contestants, they couldn't answer some of the questions, and it was thrown into the audience. And small boy at the back, I'll raise my hand and I'll get up and I'll answer the question. In the end, there was a fight between, the Ogasco boys. To know. The guy said he can do it. We didn't allow him. We'll have won the quiz competition. When I came into the boarding house at second year, the then imam, the imam who was appointed as the imam of the students, Abdul Basit, he was the imam, but then he reluctantly left the position for me. So if there's time for salah, he tells me, Sheikh, Bismillah. Sheikh. So he was the imam, but I was the one leading, but he was the imam. So people ask questions, so it became important that I took Islamic studies more serious, because the guys saw me as the go-to guy when it comes to Islamic studies. I always had these Islamic books with me. Some of the books, some of them were translated to English, and some of them too were Arabic. I read them, even though my Arabic at that time was not very strong. I just read them. I just had this vision to read them, to polish my Arabic reading and stuff. So sometimes I go to prep with Arabic books to go and read. Okay. And some of my classmates were like, hey, you chief imam. Hey, prep self, they bring Arabic books.
وقالت اليهود والنصارى نحن أبناء الله وأحباؤه
واشرح به صدورنا يا ربنا.
This program is powered by Halal Events. Halal Events, know the difference.
Third year, I was appointed the imam
officially,
and he took the general secretary position. So we went through that. So when I came home in 2005 after secondary school, the old man asked me, okay, what next for you? I said, I want to go to research. Research basically is, junior high school to senior high school, purely Islamic studies, Arabic language. I want to polish my Islamic education. And already my father, you are a sheikh, and definitely someone must also continue the family trade. I said, okay. Even if you have said something else, this is what you will have done, because that is what he also had in mind. Mashallah. So we had that, convergence. Went to research, went to meet Sheikh Khidr, another very influential man in my life. Sheikh Khidr was then the director of research at that time. We went through entrance exams, and I was put in JSS2. Going through research, some of my colleagues that we completed senior high school with SSS who had gone to university, they see me at research and they were like, but you, why, what's up? What's going on? Where are you? Are you working somewhere? Because we see me black and white always. I said, no, I'm back to school. Which school? I said Islamic school. Some of them made fun of me. Some of them laughed. Some of them encouraged. So, boys mixture. Yes. But I knew what I wanted. What I wanted to do. There was the passion, and there was the determination, and then there was the support too from the family. So I was in research 25, 26, 27. I think in 27 I got a hint of University of Cape Coast having a distance learning program, and I didn't want to lag behind. I wanted to study Islam, continue my secular education. So if there's opportunity to marry the two, then I'll go for it. So what we did was that University of Cape Coast distance education was a weekend program, and research was Mondays to Thursdays. So I applied for University of Cape Coast distance education program to go and read education, diploma in education, and then it was a weekend program. So Mondays to Thursdays I was in Accra. Sometimes Thursday in the evening straight to Cape Coast, or even Friday after Juma. You go to Cape Coast every weekend. You go to Cape Coast, and Saturday 7:30 in the morning we are in the lecture hall. You come out around 5:30 in the evening with only 2 breaks. So sometimes we come to classroom and then we are all standing. We are tired of sitting.
Wow.
So in the end it was rather, it came to every 2 weeks, after every 2 weeks for that lecture, so that
Because every week was quite tough.
Yes,
So it
so
now became every other week.
every other week. I finished research in 2010.
After 3 or 4 years.
After 5 years in
After
research,
5 years
from
of
2005 to 2010. So 5 years. The following year, I also completed my diploma at the University of Cape Coast. 2012, I went to the Institute of Languages to go and read French for 1 year. 2013, early 2013, the old man asked me, so what next? I said I had to go to read Islamic education at the university level too. So the idea was, why don't you send your information to some of the universities in the Gulf state, the Islamic University of Medina, the Azhar University. So we were contemplating, and then he said, okay, why don't you try Niger too and see. Niger, you go through entrance exams. It's not like the other Gulf states where you send your documents and then you are randomly picked. I left Ghana on the 4th of September 2013 on a Thursday to go to Niger. Alhamdulillah, I presented my documents, we went through entrance exams, and then the Ghanaian student that sat for the exams, I remember we were 20 in number, but 10 were the ones who were given admission, and I was first. I was given admission. And the university in Niger is tuition free, and then at the end of the month you are given some allowance as a student. I studied, what we call Usuluddin, the fundamentals of Islamic law. Basically Usuluddin at the university comprised of these two main things, that is the Quran and everything that comes in the Quran, the recitation of the Quran, and then the exegesis of the Quran. With hadith, has to do with the authenticating of hadith, and then the proper explanation and understanding of the hadith. So we went through that for 4 years with other subjects. Within the 4-year period, we studied 50 subjects.
Wow.
4-year period.
Wow.
So from there, I continued again to do my masters in the same university. We studied for 2 years, and then I wrote my thesis on the story of Moses and Pharaoh in the Quran, and the kind of lessons we can pick for people who want to do da'wah. On campus, I served as the vice president of the Ghana Student Union. I served also as the president of the Ghana Student Union. I served also as the welfare or education secretary of the General Student Union of the university, and also served as the chairman of the Council of Elders of the Ghana Student Union, and also the chairman of the Council of Elders of the SRC. So at the university,
Quite experience.
From Niger,
Leadership.
new country, new experience, different culture, predominantly Muslim. I learned a lot. On the campus at the university, we had people from about 16 countries, different languages, Fulani, Bambara, Hausa, and stuff like that. And Niger, being a French country, helped in polishing the French that I did at the Institute of Languages for 1 year. One uncle in Niger, who happened to be a university lecturer, took me through some French lessons. I read the book Famille Bouda, for it's a French basic book where Niger opened me up to the sub-region, where I met people from different regions. So there were these international conferences, Muslim conferences, where you have scholars coming from Ghana, from Mali, from Nigeria, from Chad, from Cote d'Ivoire. You meet, and then they meet you, and because of my father's experience and his work, they know my father, so that relationship is continued with me. So that's why I met people like Sheikh Kabir Gombe, Sheikh Balala, or Sheikh Abubakar Gero, and the stuff from Nigeria and from Mali and stuff like that. At that tertiary level, I was able to go to Ethiopia for some conferences on interfaith dialogue and violent extremism. I'm also a member of the African Union, Interfaith Dialogue Forum for elderly, scholars, and then the other one is for the youth. So my life in Niger for 7 years, 6 to 7 years, I can say was the pinnacle of my education, where I got to, and the start of my life as a young scholar, a community advocate, and what have you. Niger was
the experience was
yes,
a good one.
Was great, was beautiful.
Mashallah.
Was beautiful.
halal events. Know the difference.
For me, role modeling is, holding the hand of someone and then guiding them to the right path. It might be conventional, it might be formal, it might be informal, but having the kind of impact in someone that will put the person on the right pedal. For me, that's role model. And alhamdulillah, throughout my life, I've had this. People who will hold my hand. Sometimes I'll be conscious of it, sometimes I'll not even be conscious of it, but then they guide me to the step. And up till now, you have call people, elderly sheikhs who call me and say, no, we had this lecture that you've done and we didn't agree with you in this point. Oh no, this choice of word of yours, no. And even sometimes colleagues, even yourself, you call me sometimes and say, no, Sheikh, I've heard this. And alhamdulillah, it's something that I appreciate a lot. We have the people in the communities who are successful. But then if you look at, the trickling effect down into the community, it's difficult to find. You find out the young ones like myself who are coming up, some of us are not fortunate enough to have people that we will have to sincerely look up to without them, personally coming to pick us up. So I want to, send this, clarion call to all our big people up there. The Zongo communities need role modeling. The young people need to see people who have made it in life. It's not necessarily you coming out to dish money to people, but if you can come into the community and come and park your luxurious car, alone itself is a message. Come and sit with them in the community and then spend 10-15 minutes with the area boys at the basis. Speak to them about your experiences. Tell them the realities of what's going on. Recently I returned from the United States and some brothers were mad. They want to go to the US. They want to know how it's going. And I sat them down and I told them the realities of what's going on in the United States. And some were like, Bashek, how about you? You've gone. I said, I didn't just get up and go. Parents, you are the first role model for your kids. You are the ones who are going to guide them. Don't take chances with that. I always say this: try and get ample time for your children within the busy schedule you have as parents. Try and have that relationship with your kids. It's important. It's the number one thing you can do. If you don't have time for your kids, I don't know what kind of generation you are preparing, because we were prepared, we were nurtured. We should also nurture the next generation. We should also have time to put 1 and 2 together to form 3, so that the next generation will get things easier. Alhamdulillah, because of those who were before me, who have paved the way for me, I'm able to go through things easier. I should also pave the way for others to follow. The Chinese have a proverb that they say, those who drink water shouldn't forget those who dug the well. The Chinese bamboo tree, when you plant it, you have to nurture and water it for 5 years before it germinates and then it shoots up. When it shoots up, within 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet tall. So those of us in activism, so let's take our time. Let's have a vision that this is what we want to achieve. This is what we want to get to. It is not a race. It's not a competition. You have the community at heart. And the community is very diverse. And there are different people in there. So if you are in activism, if you are in whatever field that you are, just take your time. Put down your goals and your aims and then work towards it. And then finally to Muslim, professionals, the study of your deen is very important.
The God factor.
The God factor. It shapes us a lot.
Faith.
The faith. It brings in the morality. It brings in ethics. Muslim, professionals understand the God factor. It's very, very important. You have codes of ethics that your religion, puts on you. It's not everything that you can do that you're supposed to do. There are some things, yes, you can do, but then the codes and then the ethics do not allow you to do
values.
so. The values. And the Islamic religion, pumps that in us from day one. You have a plethora of hadith that speak about, all these things. So take Islamic religious, education serious. You have online, Islamic universities now where you can study at your own pace. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq is the first verse that was revealed, and our ummah must be the ummah of Iqra. If you have that determination that I will be able to do it, yes I can, and then act like it. Sometimes we listen to motivational speeches and then it just tickles our ears and then we are, no. Act towards it. Act like it. So come from all kinds of disadvantageous positions, but then have this attitude that, yes, I can do it.
Thank you so much, Brother Kishki, for such a wonderful story you have shared with us. I am inspired, and I hope the youth out there, the young professionals, the parents out there, the leaders, the community leaders are also inspired to do great things for our community and to start wherever they find themselves and brighten the corner where they are. Thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Barakallah feek. Shukran.
This program is powered by Halal Events. Halal Events, know the difference.
All praise is due to the one and only.